What got you interested in real estate?
One of my roommates, Jake, he and I, we both wanted to be rich. It just seemed like a good idea to be rich. And I was like, Jake, why don't you just talk to your dad and ask him how to get rich? And so he ended up giving us the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's kind of the classic gateway drug for like 99% of the real estate investors I talk to.
Will you purchase a mansion at some point in time?
I definitely wanted to live in a mansion. Owning it is a different thing. So like, depends. It would have to really be the right mansion. And for me, if it's going to be a mansion at this point in time, I really want it to be a compound as well. So I want a bunch of space. What is up, YouTube? Matt McKeever here, and in today's video, I'm going to be responding to your Instagram questions. So just a reminder, if you're not following me on Instagram and TikTok, you're not getting the full Matt McKeever experience. On both platforms, I'm simply Matt McKeever 85 because I wasn't fast enough to be Matt McKeever. But anyways, let's jump into your questions, and always appreciate you guys asking questions.
Borland Travis says, hey Matt, how much life is left in the BRRRR trend?
How much life is left in BRRRRs? Well, I think that this is a classic investment strategy. And while it may not always be practical in every real estate market, so like not every geographic region do I think lends itself well to the BRRRR, I do think partial BRRRRs will always be possible in some markets. So I definitely think it's here to stay. But if you're looking to BRRRR in, say, larger metro areas, whether it's in Canada or the US, yeah, it's going to be very difficult to find a cash flowing BRRRR, but definitely improving a property and being able to refinance it will always be an option. It's just a matter of, can you cash flow after you refinance it?
Antunes_0505 asks, what got you interested in real estate?
What really originally got me interested in real estate was back in university. I was living in a house with 5 other dudes, and one of my roommates, Jake, he and I, we both wanted to be rich. It just seemed like a good idea to be rich, and we decided we wanted to be rich by being business owners. We weren't really sure though, beyond that, that's kind of where our business plan ended. So we dabbled with a bunch of different things. We actually started like an import-export business where we didn't originally understand the importing taxes here in Canada and almost got ourselves into a lot of trouble by importing blank CDs and DVDs, not knowing about like the import taxes. And again, like kids ask your parents what a CD or a DVD is, but anyways, Jake's dad was rich. He owned a large company, and I was like, Jake, why don't you just talk to your dad and ask him how to get rich? And so he ended up giving us the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That's kind of the classic gateway drug for like 99% of the real estate investors I talk to. They read that book. It's such a simple, easy read, and yet I think it does such a great job of illustrating the power if you invest appropriately in real estate investing. So that's really what drew me to it. I probably discovered that, I don't know, like 21, 22. And it wasn't until I was 25 I ended up actually investing and buying my first property.
6Side7 asks, how to be a private lender? Do I do this on my own, or is there a company you'd recommend to get started?
If you want to become a private lender, there's a lot of options available to you, and really just it comes down to how much work do you want to do, what's your comfort level, how involved do you want to be in the process. So if you want to be completely hands-off, your best bet is just go to like a mortgage agent, a mortgage broker, or talk to, even if you want to be even more hands-off, you could talk to like a mortgage investment corporation and just lend your money to them. They'll give you a much more safer return. And again, like I'm using the word safer here with asterisks, or that's what the average person would say. Again, you have to figure out your own risk and do your own due diligence. But if you want to be a little bit more hands-on, then you could talk to a mortgage agent or mortgage broker and become a private lender through them. If you want to be really hands-on, you could start dealing directly with investors and lending directly to them. Again, it just comes down to what's your comfort level. There's private lenders of every stripe out there, and private lenders make money with any of these strategies, and there's private lenders that get burned with any of these strategies, right? So again, it's important to just keep that top of mind. But as long as you're doing your due diligence and you understand the risk you're taking on, I think it can be quite rewarding becoming a private lender.
Matt Laurentino says, hey Matt, you hosted a boot camp about a month ago to discuss bird dogging, and unfortunately I wasn't aware at that time. Is there any way we could get more information? I'm definitely interested in learning more about how I can potentially help you and your team get more leads.
Sure. So we did host a bird dogging 7-day boot camp. It was kind of an experiment pilot program. If you guys haven't noticed, I'm constantly experimenting and launching these weird little pilot programs. I wasn't overwhelmed with the success from that program, but I did learn a lot from it. We'll probably reinvent it sometime in Q1 2021, so just follow me on Instagram and TikTok. I'm sure we'll mention it there as well as here on the YouTube channel. But yeah, definitely looking forward to launching some sort of future version of that BRRRR program. But if you go on my Instagram, you can find old carousel posts of mine that really break down what we're looking for. But essentially for me personally, I'm looking to buy purpose-built 10+ unit buildings that are 3 stories or less, so no elevators in southwestern Ontario. And if we're talking, depending upon the city, if it's in the city of London, Ontario, if it's 125 or less per unit, I'm probably interested. If it's in a smaller region like Chatham, probably 100,000 or less, I'm interested. Sarnia, maybe 110. Yeah. So let me know if you guys come across those, but not interested in MLS deals. I've already got realtors and team members to check those out. So this is only for private deals. Should you contact me if you've got a lead on a purpose-built 10+ unit building in southwestern Ontario. Southwestern Ontario, not like Florida or Texas or Georgia.
Pascal Mongalar 23 asks, when do you think is the right time for refinancing?
I think the choice to refinance really depends upon your business model and what your goals are as an investor. If you're in the growth phase where you're still actively acquiring, I think you should be constantly looking at refinancing your properties. Now, that doesn't mean you're constantly refinancing them, but you should be constantly aware of what sort of equity could I get access to and what could I use or deploy that equity towards, because, as an investor, we need to really just be focused on the velocity of our money and the return on time. So the faster you can compress the turnover of your money, the more equity you can pull out and redeploy. Likely the larger and faster you're going to scale your business. So if you're in the growth phase and that's important, then I'd be constantly looking at that. However, if you're in the stabilization or maintenance phase, so you've got enough, you're happy with your income, then I can see the arguments towards just wanting to pay down those mortgages and maybe you never refinance.
519JC says, your thoughts on the 12-month primary residence live-in flips in Ontario as a means of house hacking without tenants. Definitely would need to be on the lighter end of a flip to be livable, but a cool tax-efficient alternative to traditional house hacking methods that I don't believe is talked about much.
Sure. So live-in flips have been a really popular approach for real estate investors for an extended period of time now. So I don't think there's anything new to this idea, but I think it can be a great opportunity. However, understand in 2020, we did get new tax guidance from CRA. So they are cracking down on habitual live-in flippers. So if you're going to really try and make a business out of this lifestyle, there's a chance CRA may come knocking, asking for their cut, because they may deem that to actually be not only income, but actually active income rather than capital gains income. So you could go from thinking of paying 0% tax to paying upwards of 50% tax depending upon your tax bracket. So really important that you understand the nuances here. If you're looking at implementing a strategy like this, I really encourage you guys to reach out to a tax professional and just make sure that you understand exactly where the rules are today. Because tax law is constantly dynamic and changing, and oftentimes it comes down to most recent tax cases.
Kathy DiMattillo says, what are your worries in life? Do you ever worry about things? You seem so relaxed and collected all the time. Thanks, Matt.
What do I worry about? I don't think I worry about too much. I definitely worry about not utilizing my time well. I definitely question whether is there a more optimal path or choice or solution to some of the things I'm doing currently in life. So that is something I'm aware of. I'm scared that I'm going to keep procrastinating on writing a book. That's definitely something that I'm scared of. But no, I think for me, I really look at what can I control and what can't I control. And the things that are outside of my control, outside of trying to mildly prepare for them, there's no reason to stress over them too much. And everything that's within my control, well, I'm not going to stress out too much because I'm in control. So it's really up to me to just make sure things go well.
Gleb Puthkov 77 says, will you purchase a mansion at some point in time?
I definitely want to live in a mansion. Owning it is a different thing. So depends. It would have to really be the right mansion. And for me, if it's going to be a mansion at this point in time, I really want it to be a compound as well. So I want a bunch of space, like it to be a waterfront or lakefront, something like that. So I see that in the next few years, and we are starting a cottage buying business. So I'm hoping that maybe I'll stumble across the right sort of estate or private property through our cottage buying business.
RXMO.co says, to your young followers, how much do we need to save so we can start investing? And what are some knowledge and skills you would rush and tell your younger self to learn right now after turning 18?
Yes, a lot of young investors want to know how much money do you need in order to become an investor. And I don't think there's a straight answer to this. It really does depend, unfortunately. It depends on what type of investor you want to be. It depends upon how impatient you are. If you're extremely impatient and you want to grow really big, well, in that case, like your own resources, you shouldn't even worry about that shit. What you need to worry about is becoming an expert and finding deals. If you can become an expert and find deals, you don't really need your own money. Now, having a few $1,000s just so you can have deposit money and control the deal before you go in search of JV partners can maybe put you slightly more in the driver's seat. But outside of like small caveats like that, you don't necessarily need a fortune, but you either need to find a great deal or have a great deal of money if you want to really scale into the real estate game in a big way. So for me, it really comes down to what are you trying to accomplish. However, if you're looking on the more modest side of things, understand that if you're looking to buy, say, a house hack that's a single family or a duplex, we're probably talking 5% down to the purchase price. Now, after some other closing costs and stuff like that, you probably want closer to like 8 or 10% of the purchase price. Or if you're looking at a house hack on a triplex or a fourplex, we're closer to 10% down. And again, you're going to have some closing costs and things like that. So you probably want to be closer to 13 or 15% down total saved in order to buy that property and get into it in a house hack scenario. But again, really depends. What are you trying to accomplish?
They Run VRP asks, what source would be reliable to find out ARV?
After repair value is one of the most important factors you need to be aware of as a real estate investor, and yet I find so many real estate investors resist my advice on this shit. I feel like I've talked about this ad nauseum. I've actually got a course on cashflowtribe.com if you guys want to jump over there and check it out. And on there, it's called the How to Calculate Fair Market Value and After Repair Value course. But the synopsis of it is, find yourself a comp realtor. For the love of God, just listen to this advice. You guys all fight me on it. Please don't do that. Just go find a comp realtor, someone that has access to Geo Warehouse, that has access to Matrix or the MLS data, and you're going to have them pull comps for you. And then what we're going to do is try and focus on finding the closest apple to apple comparisons. So for example, if I'm looking at buying a 3-bed, 2-bath and flipping it, I want to see what have other 3-bed, 2-baths in that exact same neighborhood sold for in the same sort of condition that I plan to fix up my property to. And once you can get good at doing this, it becomes really easy to make a lot of offers as a real estate investor. Where people struggle is they don't have control of the data, and so there ends up being a bunch of drama. Because yeah, we're guessing at that point in time if we don't have the data. But if you have a comp realtor on your team and you get the data from them, and then you actually spend the time analyzing the data, real estate's really simple, it's really easy. Just actually do it.
Bridget.Charday had a few questions, but we'll pick one here. Do you think it is worth it to replace electric baseboard heating in a multifamily building in order to maximize rent?
Should you replace electric baseboard heat? It really depends upon the building and the context, in my opinion, which I know is a frustrating answer, but the biggest question for me is how big of renovations are we doing on the building anyways? If the building's in mint condition otherwise, if it's relatively well insulated otherwise, well built otherwise, I may not want to go in there and mess with the electric heat right now. I might want to wait until I'm going to really overhaul the building, and then at that point in time either look at putting in a boiler system or ideally an HVAC system. But again, it depends upon the layout of the units. Do I have room to put in individual HVAC systems in these units? What's going to be the trade-offs with putting in that boiler? It really depends upon the scenario there, but yes, you're certainly right. You can command much higher rents if you're able to get a more effective, more cost-effective heating solution, because electric's going to be your most expensive heating solution.
Last one here. So Kate09.cab says, hi Matt, do you need a license to rent a townhouse condo? And what happened to the deposits if the tenant breaks the lease before moving in?
So in regards to the last question first, what happens if the tenant breaks the lease before moving in? You're going to have to read your individual lease agreement, so it should explicitly state something in that case. Traditionally, that deposit essentially is meant to protect the landlord in that case. So again, depending upon the local rules in your region, depends what province or state you're in. But normally, traditionally, you would keep the deposit as the landlord, or at least you'd be entitled to keeping it. Now, in the past with my business, depends upon the situation. If we're able to find a different tenant, we're going to return the deposit, right? If we didn't find an alternative tenant on the same timeline, then we may look at keeping the deposit. But again, depends upon the exact wording in your lease. So rental licenses depends upon the city and stuff. Here in London, if I remember correctly, I don't do this stuff as much as I used to now, but no, you don't need it if it's in a condo. But again, each municipality here in Ontario has their own specific landlord licensing rules, if they have landlord licensing. Only a handful of jurisdictions right now do. All right, guys, that's it for this week, this month's Instagram questions. Appreciate you guys asking me those questions. Every now and then we're soliciting questions on my Instagram, so make sure you're paying attention. Follow me on Instagram if you're not doing it. Jump over, follow me on TikTok as well. We're doing a lot of content, so we actually do 2 videos a day on TikTok. We're starting to get into some characters and stuff too, so I hope you guys enjoy that. So if you want to see kind of the lighter side of real estate, make sure you're following me on TikTok. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this Q&A, smash that like button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And reminder, like I see more than 50% of you are not subscribed to my YouTube channel. It's completely free. It makes me feel good. It gets me closer to 100,000. And I mean, it's just kind of insulting when less than half of you are subscribed. But anyways, appreciate you guys watching to the end. I'll see you in the next video.